Hello and welcome to Time to Talk Straight. I'm Dr. Amjad Ayub Mirza. Well, yesterday, or let's say in the past 24 hours, Iran has fired about just under 300 missiles, including cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and short range and long range missiles into Israel. Well, the Iron Dome of Israel that was gifted by America has so far proven to be an adequate defense mechanism. But if uh, the rockets fired towards Israel uh, number in thousands, then a few might slip through that Iron Dome and damage Israel in terms of military installations and maybe civilian population as well. What we have to understand is why is this war escalating? What are the interests of Iran in this war? Excuse me. Well, let me remind you that in September last year, which is September 2023, at the G20 meeting held in New Delhi, it was decided that uh, a new economic corridor will be established. And that new economic corridor was called India Middle East Economic Corridor. And that would have run from Gujarat and another port in India to Saudi Arabia. Then from Saudi Arabia through the desert, they would have built a road uh, to go into Israel, and then up to the port of Haifa, and then from Haifa it would have connected the world through the Mediterranean Sea. Another development that was taking place at the end of the last year was that the relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel had come to a point where diplomatic relations were about to be established. The only thing that was missing was the signature on the agreement, and that was going to happen at the end of the year. If Saudi Arabia and Israel sign a friendship agreement and establish diplomatic relations, that would have jolted the so-called Islamic world, because already UAE and Jordan and Egypt and other countries have got diplomatic relations with Israel. And if Saudi Arabia also establishes diplomatic relations with Israel and trade relations, and the airspace is open for each other, then basically the claim of the Muslim world regarding Israel, that it is Palestinian land and whatever, that goes into the dustbin of history. So these two developments were taking place simultaneously. Now, on one hand, the establishment or establishing diplomatic relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel was challenging the vested interests of those who benefit from the conflict in the Middle East. Secondly, this India Middle East Economic Corridor uh, was a challenge for Iran and Russia as well, because Iran is also aspiring to start or establish an economic corridor for their benefit, which they call Green Corridor. And meetings were being held in Moscow and in Tehran to finalize the deal. And the Green Corridor runs across the Caspian Sea and was to use the Baltic Sea and the Caspian Sea for a trade route that would facilitate Iran and Central Asia. So this conflict between India Middle East Economic Corridor and Iran's Green Corridor has led to the escalation of tensions in the Middle East. Now we come to the 7th of October 2023 attack by the Hamas. Everybody knows that Hamas is a proxy of Iran, and Hamas basically does not represent the Palestinian people. Palestinian people are a separate entity. Hamas came into power in early 2000 and early 2000, 2005 or 7, I think, and they then never held an election after that. They usurped the power. The Palestinian Authority was attacked. Many of their cadre was killed by the Hamas, and the Hamas had to retreat to the West Bank. The Palestinian Authority had to retreat into West Bank, where they still hold their government led by Mahmoud Abbas. Hamas's leadership do not live in Gaza. They live in Jordan, Qatar, and other Middle Eastern friendly countries, and they use the tyranny of totalitarian regime of Hamas in the name of Islam to control the masses. And in their schools and in their Islamic schools and other schools, they brainwash the children since a young age, so that they can have a continuous supply for recruiting new terrorist jihadis. Under this scenario, who could have benefited more from the attack on Israel by the Hamas in order to sabotage? Number one, Iran's sabotage the Indian Middle East corridor, economic corridor. Obviously, Iran, who saw or viewed the Indian Middle East economic corridor as a challenge to the Green Corridor, and China, who saw the India Middle East economic corridor as a challenge to their own Belt and Road Initiative. So, common sense, if it prevails still, and if we do not take sides based on emotion, it's clear that China and Iran are hand in glove in this conflict and the escalation of this conflict. And the war in the Middle East could be stopped like that if Hamas releases more than 150 Israeli hostages that still remain in captivity of Hamas. But Hamas wouldn't do that because Iran wouldn't allow them to do that. And we know that China has signed an agreement of investment of $400 billion in Iran over a period of 25 years. They are building the port of Chabahar in Iran as a corridor towards Central Asia. So it is a very complex scenario at the moment. And the deaths that are taking place due to the bombardment of Israel in Gaza, in which, of course, a lot of innocent civilians and children are also being killed. The responsibility for this solely lies on the Hamas. And now Iran has attacked Israel in order to discourage Israel from further escalation of the war. However, if Iran is not stopped, Iran is going to be the country who is going to be responsible to drag the whole world into a conflict that might turn into a third world war. And mind you, with countries having nuclear weapons, it's going to be much worse than the Second or the First World War put together. Thanks for watching Time to Talk Straight. Please subscribe to my channel and share this video, like the video, and please do take some time to leave a comment to express your views on this issue. Till the next video, look after yourself. Goodbye.